how did you two end up getting into 2D animation?
It was I had class time with the department head, and he pulled me over and he asked me, "Oh, are you interested in joining Skills Manitoba?" And like I didn't know what that was, but I was like, he told me that it was a competition where I had to animate something with a partner, and I've been in another competition before, so I was like, "Oh, okay, it might be a similar experience. Sure, why not?" And then I told him I'll only do it if I get to have Sydney as a partner because we were working at the same tables. I knew how she worked.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar story to Margaux, where Mr. Leduc, he pulled me aside and asked me if I wanted to join this competition. And I never did anything like that before. I was very new to 2D and just anything like related to it. So I kind of went like, oh yeah, that'll be a cool experience. And and it turned out pretty good because we're going to Skills Canada. So
Yeah, it did turn out pretty good for you guys. That's awesome. Yeah, so with this competition, it was a partnered um format. How did that kind of work? Were you two working on like the same computer, or not the same computer, but like were you working on like the same file, or how was that working for you?
So I made a Google spreadsheet the day before because we got time to prep our things, like what the story is gonna be and stuff. So I made a Google spreadsheet of like who's doing what, and during the whole process, I was the one animating, like doing all the drawings. And while I was doing that, Sydney was the one coloring, making backgrounds, collecting the sounds we were going to use. And by the time we split our animation into two scenes, so by the time I finished the first scene, I would send that over to Sydney and she would start coloring it while I was working on the second scene. By the time I finished the second scene, luckily Sydney was already done coloring, so we managed to have like a good pace with each other.
Mhm.
Nice, right on. And so with the upcoming nationals competition here in Winnipeg, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Are you nervous? Are you excited? What's that like?
Well, I'm just hoping that it'll feel similar to how Skills Manitoba was. I mean, I guess it was a little bit more comfortable because we were like at Sisler, we were at, we were in the same room that we usually worked all year. Um, but I think like if we just keep doing what we were doing for Skills Manitoba, like our workflow and how we organize things and stuff like that, then I think we'll be able to do pretty well.
Nothing crashes, hopefully.
Hopefully. Can you guys give me just a little insight on the kind of story that you're prepping for nationals?
Oh, we don't actually have access to that yet.
Yeah, well, there's a day right before, like when it's like our days to animate, where they give us the prompt and like a wild card, I think. So that's what they did with Skills Manitoba. They gave us, what the story, or well, the prompt was
to sit up and stand down. Yeah. Or sit up. Wait, sorry, let me repeat that. To stand up and sit down.
Yeah, one or the other for Skills Manitoba. So they are going to give us a prompt similar to that, or not similar, just something like that to work with, and then they're going to give us a wild card that we have to include. So,
which was a book bag for the one we did.
Yeah, but
we'll find out like 2 days before.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Just kind of throw us to the competition, say, okay, animate.
So what are, I guess, your guys' plans for the future? Like, do you plan on pursuing animation, or is this just kind of like a fun side thing that you're doing right now?
I mean, I'm in grade 12, so I'm taking post-high next year, and I'm allowing myself to use that year to figure out what I really want to do, because I also like to do a lot of other things other than 2D animation. So I don't know, maybe I'll end up doing something completely different, but right now that's something that I'm really interested in and I'm really enjoying, and I think it's giving me a lot of like different skills to work with in the future, because like I didn't know that I could do something like this. I always thought like, oh, I have to be like a lawyer or go into like some sort of, I don't want to say traditional route, but I don't know, just something that like my parents or my grandparents would do. Like this is something exciting, it's new, and it's becoming local for us too. So there's a lot more opportunities for it.
For me, I've always just been doing art since I was little, so I always knew I'd end up in the art field. I just never expected I'd end up in animation because I hated animation before. I was like, oh, it's so tedious. But then I guess I got my graphics teacher kind of pulled me into this one. It was like, you're wasting opportunities by just staying in graphics. So I got into this field and I ended up liking it. I guess I'll go through with it as a storyboard artist.